Hi guys, I'm going to show you a few different methods of wrapping your knees and try and explain a little bit about why you use the different methods, or why you would use the different methods. The first style is one that I think has some application for both raw and equipped. Oh, Bronson's come to say hello. But you're going to sit in the way, buddy. Sit down, come on. Hey, Bronson wants in on the action. Yeah, the first style is one which is can be used for raw or equipped. This one places quite a lot of support and behind the back of the knee. So if you squat where you reach a point where your knee is at quite an acute angle like this, then you want some support behind the knee, because that's where you're going to benefit from the wrap the most. If you squat in a very wide stance and your knee only say reaches this sort of angle where it's 90 degrees or greater due to the width of your stance, then you most likely will benefit from a wrap which covers a bit more of your leg, because your knee never reaches that acute angle here. Piling up loads of material behind the knee is less useful. So I deal with a standard wrap that we use quite a lot here, which can be used for either, and then I'll look at a couple of other methods. One which emphasises support around the knee, and another which distributes the support more evenly across the quad down into the top part of the calf. So here's the all-round wrap first. So much like when wrapping your just the camera a little bit, much like when you're wrapping your wrists, you want to make sure that the wrap is always going in to out like this, so it's revolving round the knee this way. Your knees, as you squat, are going to have to, or your femur at least, is going to have to externally rotate and push out this direction. You definitely do not want a wrap which is pulling your knee inwards, that you have to fight against the whole time. You want the wrap to support the direction that the knee is travelling in, because the main benefit is the compression on the joint. You don't want it to be fighting it, twisting against the direction that the kneecap is trying to travel in. So always go in to out. First thing I do is I take the back of the wrap, take the wrap around the back of the knee, bring it round, cover around the base of the knee, so just below the patella, and I pin that down. If you want a really tight wrap, you're going to get someone to help you with this. Pin the wrap, pull across, and pull down. And that's locked that first part of the wrap off. One point to notice is, because I'm doing this slowly, it'll be hard to do, but generally when you're wrapping your knees, you want to try and keep the quad flexed and contracted the whole time, so it keeps the kneecap pulled back. If you let the kneecap move around when you're wrapping, the likelihood is that you'll never get it kind of locked in place. So keep the quad flexed. Round the back of the knee, pull up. I go again, round, pretty much straight across now. Round the back, pull up, straight across again. And you notice I'm climbing about half, it's hard to tell with these light coloured wraps, I'm climbing about half the width of the wrap up each time. Pull again, across, pull round. Now from there, I've probably travelled high enough up now, so I'm going to look to try and use the rest of the wrap to get as much coverage in front of the knee and behind the knee as I can. So I'm going to come round, diagonally across the kneecap down to the base, pull tight again, go round the back, and then I'm coming up from the back to the top, pull tight again. So I've now got a nice crisscross over the knee. I then come back to the top and I lock the wrap off. So for a warm-up set, that would probably do. I don't need many more revolutions than that for the majority of sets that I do. But as the weight gets a bit heavier and I want a bit more coverage, I'm going to do an extra 1 or 2 revolutions working back down again. Now to lock it off, I'm going to hook a thumb underneath, put the wrap through, pull down, and that's my knee fully wrapped. Now this, as I said, will do for, it's got quite a lot of compression behind the knee because I've got a lot of coverage here, especially from the crisscross. This will do for either equipped or raw, because you've got both support across the knee, and it does climb a reasonable amount above and below the knee there while staying within the legal limits. Now, so that's one style, which is fairly popular with a lot of people. One modification on that is that some people like to bring the wrap after they've done that initial cross. So they go up 2, 3, 4. Sometimes some people like to even do 5 revolutions working up. Then once they've done that first cross and they've worked down to the base there, some people like to come round, lock it off at the bottom, and then come back up to the top. To be honest, that's personal preference. Some people like to put a bit more of the wrap down the bottom. Personally, I prefer to have a lot of the wrap on the above the patella and on the patella tendon and locking onto the quads, because I feel like that's where it gives me the best support. So that's one style. I will put the next wrap type in the next video. Okay guys, this is a return to the knee wrapping demonstration. So this is the second style of knee wrap that some people use here. Is we keep the coverage much more restricted, so it doesn't go too far below the knee and not too far above. We're maximising then the amount of support behind the knee and in front of the knee that we get. So this really is intended for people who tend to squat a little bit narrower, who will get quite a lot of knee bend in their squat, who will use the quads quite a lot, rather than being a sort of wider stance hip orientated squatter. So tends to be, this is mainly for raw. There might be some single ply people that would benefit from squatting like this, but multiply, especially wide stance multiply guys, this probably is less appropriate. However, I'm sure there's exceptions to the rule. So we start off in the same way, around the back of the knee, lock the first one over. Now, rather than climbing up half the width of the wrap, I'm going to climb less. So I'm going to only climb about a third of the width of the wrap here, pulling on the wrap each rotation I do, sometimes twice every rotation, pull down. So I've got 5 revolutions there already, and I'm on a shorter, more restricted wrap that doesn't climb as high, because each time I've gone round, I've not climbed quite as high each time. So once I get to there, I'm gonna cross round, go across the knee again. I'm then gonna do another crossover and another one back like that. So I've got 2 crosses over the knee. That's maximise the amount of material behind the knee, the amount of material in front of the knee, and this is really very difficult just to bend to get that last bit of bend in my knee here. So I'm maximising the amount of support that I can have for a knee bend style squat. This won't give you as much support obviously up the quad, so perhaps it's slightly less useful for a wide stance squatter. That squats perhaps, you could argue, slightly shallower, but close stance, quad orientated squatters can benefit from this style. So that's the second type. Okay guys, so here's the third type of knee wrap. This is one which gives you greater coverage up and down the leg. You don't build up quite as much material behind the knee or over the knee. What it does is give you a lot of compression on the musculature, say above and below the joint. So this is particularly good for wide stance squatting, especially wide stance multiply, particular canvas suit type squatting, where it's likely for the majority of people that your knee is going to be out of this kind of angle. So the base position of the squat, well, I'm not at depth yet, but like the base position of the squat, the knee doesn't go beyond 90 degrees. So yeah, so here we go. So this one will start higher up. You wrap slightly differently, so you don't start at the knee this time. I'm going to start on the quad. I bring it around the back of the thigh, and I'm going to hold onto the wrap here, pulling across the thigh like this. I then pull upwards with the other hand, pull across the thigh, hold that in place, and that's pinned the wrap. And then from there, I'm then going to work my way down, moving about half a wrap width at the same time each time. That's 3 revolutions, 4, 5, 6, and then I start working my way back up. 7, 8, and for this sort of demonstration purposes, that will probably do. Probably get another revolution if I was really trying. I then take the top, tuck it underneath, tighten a knot, single knot, and the pressure of the wrap will hold it there. So this gives me, you see, much coverage up a higher portion of my leg. Really feels like a cast. There's not as much pressure on the knee, but there's a lot of support up the quad. And if you think, when you're wearing briefs, your brief's going to end here. Your wraps then are going to only start about 5 or so inches below where your briefs support end. So you're really giving a lot of support to the whole leg. Good thing about this style of wrapping is that when you're done, you finish squatting, you feel like you're going to pass out, the pressure's been high. All you do, take one of the tags, pull on the wrap, and it will undo itself and just ping off. So benefit of that is you don't need someone rushing to your aid to unwrap your knees. So that's the third style. I'd say more suited to wide stance squatting, but again, there's exceptions to every rule. So here's a fourth style of wrap, one which I don't really use myself, but one that I know some people have a lot of success with. Start around the bottom, sweep over. Now each time you come up, you're going to go diagonally. So I'm going to go up and diagonally over, then when I come around the back, diagonally down. Next one, diagonally up. Next one, diagonally down. Next one, up. Next one, angle slightly down. Next one, angle slightly up. And work round. I won't bother doing another revolution, it's just because of demonstration. And then lock off. And you see what you get here is that zigzag pattern up the wrap. It's only, I don't think you get quite as much coverage with this style because I don't think you build up quite as much behind the knee, but that is quite a stiff wrap. This might suit some people, might be a good way for some people to break into using wraps. I don't believe that the compression on the joint is quite as tough, it's quite as harsh. It's probably a little bit more, going to be a bit more comfortable to squat with. The reason I don't use this wrap myself is I found it quite hard to avoid when I get to the bottom of the squat. If the wrap, unless you've got a really stretchy wrap like this Overkill, I found it quite hard to avoid the wrap just pulling apart and just separating a little bit, which is quite disconcerting when you're in the bottom position of a squat under a heavy weight. So this isn't my favourite type, but I say a lot of people use it. You can see I've got quite a lot of compression here behind the knee, a lot of material here. Again, I prefer the coverage to come a little bit further up the quad. If I'd use the wrap roller and crank these wraps a bit tighter, I'd probably be able to get an extra 2 or 3 revolutions. So this can be a useful method for some people. It's just not my personal preference.